Is it 22X here? We are the Sootopolis City League. With me, I have Evan, or also known as Evan Smoke. We are presenting our what we call our spreadsheet for the league. This is where you will find the draft by prices, the weekly results, all the results, the roster, and each team individually. So one of the cool things is that we actually have all the players by draft here, actually by prices. So we had 113 players drafted, including the co-managers, 30 different countries represented among these players. A couple of fun facts are Torkoals have the least amount of players at 11 and have two of the most expensive players in the entire league. The Coalossals ended up actually having the most expensive player, which was CK49, also known as Addy. And then another fun fact was that Heat, Thunders, and Dream Eaters both have the most 3Ks. And I think one more fun fact is throughout the draft, the Thunders conserved their money very well and ended up drafting 7 players, all for 3Ks, almost back to back. There was like two upbeats that were happening, but yeah, I think that was pretty cool. And the one thing we wanted to do is people have been asking us about power rankings, and we're gonna do that, but we also want to talk to you and tell you guys a little bit about each of these teams because there's some underrated players and then some very famous players.
Yeah, as usual, when you talk about power rankings, it makes more sense to go through each team and kind of give a feel of how they might work together, and what our opinions are of the teams. I also did a quick count on the total number of 3Ks for this league. Um, it's 39 out of 113, so that's pretty significant, like one third of the players. So I think less expectations for them and some underrated players that the managers managed to seek out and managed to get who they want. For example, the Thunders, like Easy said earlier, seems like Kotomi and Helios really were looking for certain players or players from a certain country even, and managed to get quite a lot of them. So interested to see how that will turn out for them. Then just to highlight again, like Easy mentioned that there were two very expensive players in the Torkoals, but you really cannot sleep on them because it's Aura Rayquaza and Owi or Oliver, and they have been working together in various leagues like the NPA or maybe sometimes in the Smogon Player League, and they have a lot of synergy there.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the Torkles, just to give you a little bit preview, I did ask Evan who does he think is like, if he was to rank the top one. I personally have the Torkles as my favorite. Pretty much mentioning, I had a lot of the fact with their result based. Terran have won won the first season of Smogon PL. He also went undefeated the entire time. Was a day two in the world championship. Carl Bonix actually got top eight, eliminated by actually Pao Chua, who ended up fighting with Edu at the end. And you have two strong players on there, and Owi was the UIC finalist. An incredible player in general. Like they're top. Like you all have three very scary players right off the bat, and it is 8 matches per week. But when people see that, it's like, okay, these three players 99% of the time they're always gonna be winning, and having like the quote unquote guarantee wins are always something you wanna have. Like they're the carries, they're the so I think and chosen future also, but amazing senior they were also part of this Mogon League season one with Terran. So there's already synergy, and I already know like they actually ended up with a pretty positive record too. So very result heavy on a couple of these players. Some unknown on the other ones, but such a strong top is already looking really good for the Torkles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the number of results accumulated this year is really scary. So it does make sense for you to pick the Tacos as the strongest team in your opinion. And then from my end, like I'm a bit worried of this top heavy draft. We've seen in a lot of draft leagues that it does play out really well in some seasons, but sometimes it might not work out as well. And we are in a format that is pretty volatile and pretty unexplored in in draft league setting. So for myself, like I'm actually torn between two. I'm actually torn between like the Colossals or the Dream Eaters. For me, the Coalossals have Adi and Joe as their sort of picks are all the way at the top, right? And those are kind of the strongest and probably good leaders in terms of team building. But then I would go with the Dream Eaters. This seems like a pretty hot take from my end, but that's because they have a lot of draft league experience in general with Ben Zeno as a leader and also Sableye. For Sven, we're not very sure. Sven is always just playing around, but could be useful, giving some insights. But the what I want to go for would be the depth of this draft. Yeah, they have. I didn't count the number of countries, but I would say maybe about about 10, right? And they come from all over the place, and they have a lot of um like shared experience altogether. So with this depth, they might be able to catch opponents off guard. We have already seen some upsets in the VR World Cup, like Thailand, for example, with My Stars and Bang Zeno in Team Thailand. They were able to beat Japan, and Japan is a team that has consistent results, but they are predictable. So from my end, my hot take, to me, the most powerful team is the Dream Eaters, and hopefully that works out. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, there's always been the streamer recording quirks where like we say, "Hey, this team is gonna do very well," and end up doing. So I'm sorry too if that happens. Kind of why I'm also agree. It's like kind of it happens, but hey, it could also change. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point because like this is just power rankings and these are just opinions of the two of us, right?
yup.
We are just fans. Everybody is like a fan of VGC, or like maybe some would say like big fans of the players.
All right. So, since we both said our first choices, now we're gonna talk a little bit more about the teams before giving you at the area and our like full ranking of the top 8 teams. So,
Yeah.
alphabetically speaking, we have the Aloha Araquanids first. Managers are KJ Chicken, Condor NJ, and Ace Nowak. Ace Nowak is their 20K player. And then we have Suseye, Atmosphere Z, Taboo, Crawl Shot, Ally, Zero Rowan, Chu Force, Pojito A7, who by the way is also known as Sebas BGC, Rinkai, Soul Glover Katie is actually also known as Katie Mar, Josh and Luya, and Sefil. And actually, yeah, Sefil is Sefil. Sorry, I kind of almost confused with Jonas because they actually have very similar
Yeah.
Discord name right now. But I talk a lot, Evan. Tell me what you think about this team. What do you think about Alola Araquanids, or what you want to tell the people about Araquanids?
Zephyl, I saw him on Twitter once. Like the Twitter name is Panda, and his name is Luca the Kuka. He managed to get top 64 at the London Open, although I didn't meet him there. So, seems like pretty strong player. He also plays for the Waka World Tour with the Pokemains. I'm not sure how they are doing right now, but
Oh,
going into this like draft of players, it seems like Condor is kind of at like the player with the the manager with the most experience, and KJ Chicken is sort of heading everything and helping things out. But they seem to have drafted a lot of familiar faces and friends, mostly from the North America region. So like Cross Shots is the probably the player with the most league experience, probably a veteran that has a like sort of the most results in league, and then paired with like Atmosphere Z and Ace Nowak, and even to tie for Gerald, they seem to be really strong in that aspect. But to me, not much depth. Like having some Spanish players and then Fiona and one Chinese player could be interesting, but it really comes down to how they communicate and come up with good team ideas. Because not sure if like they are able to always work together in the same time zone.
yeah, I agree, and it's good that the for example Suseje and Taboo are in the
Mm.
same time zone. So worst case scenario, they're the worst together. I think Rowan is in the US.
US, yep.
Yeah. So for the part, like I think the Coco isolated will be mostly the true Spaniards. Pollito Sebas is still kind of NA time zone, given that he's in Chile.
Chile. Mhm.
Um, and then Rinkai, even I know she's still in the U.S. Actually, she is the Chinese
I
player,
see.
but I do believe she's still in the U.S. because she's still studying. So yeah, the time zone might be tricky, but we always have a little bit of a DGN schedule for some people. I seen some like
Mm.
especially the EU, they like staying up pretty late. And so yeah,
Rinkai does have like the first team for Indiana in USPA, like the MVP. She went
yes.
5-1, right? And she beat quite a lot of strong players. So that's a very good record, right? In a draft league to
Yo, her it
show
was her
off.
first time too. I this is actually how I met Rinkai because I was helping Team Indiana too.
Ah.
So and that yeah, that's how I got to here, and I actually got to meet her in I believe NIC. I think we might have says hi in Indianapolis too. I don't. Yeah, we did. But another person I wanted to add to is Ally, also now as Ally switches paint. He actually has manager experience. He managed in
Mm-hmm. The
PGL
Murkrows,
the
right?
Murkrows, who made season one, made it second place and then top four in the second season. And they recovered pretty well because they had a rough start. But yeah, I think between Condor and Ally also being there probably helping. And let's not forget that Ace Noah was in puppies. Ace Noah is an NPA champion and could also bring insights of how like the puppies were so successful and to help out that. And in general, while Ally usually is managing, he's a very very strong player. He actually recently, funnily enough, won Kira's monotype tour. So
Oh yeah, that's
I
like a
think
Series 9 kind of thing. Although they had Dynamax, but
it's
it
still
really
cool.
shows flexibility as a player. And I also won your Ray Ray draft lead, so
Yeah, he did
that
win my
was
favorite
yeah.
athlete.
And then still came in second, so they are in the same team.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, all together, this seems like a bit of like Murkrow's throwback from the way Condor tried to draft. But to me, like it's very heavy in the players from the North America region.
Yep.
Although these players are super confident, we also didn't really mention Fiona, but Fiona is just always so confident in Team Poland in the World Cup. And we also have a few other like World Cup team members here. Z is in Team US and they entered the top 8 together with Poland. Yeah, so and also Rowan
Yep.
who
Entire
just
team
beat
India.
Team Singapore with Team India. So
Yes.
overall, these players are very confident in Series 12 from what I have seen. So I'm curious to see whether they can translate this result to Series 9. I think quite a lot of them did like say that they are okay to play Series 13, which is quite surprising. And to me, yeah, I think this team is pretty strong.
Yeah. No, I agree. And always having I personally have drafted a like almost pretty much full North American type of team in AGL
Oh,
season one. I mean season two. So it's actually very beneficial sometimes. You just have a lot of people at the same time. So, and I actually ended up having two EU people, just like Aloha Araquanids. So it's not
oh,
the worst because the East Coast players can actually talk to the Europeans sometimes too. So
true.
yeah, I think the fact that they're all in the same, for the most part, in the same time zone will be very helpful still. And I Susage and Taboo probably could just do their own thing for the most part and be fine. They're very experienced. They're very experienced draft players. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like the activity in the Discord chat would be very active because of the same time zone thing. And like just having a few players from around the place can also help with scouting.
Yep. All right. All right. So next up we have the
Coalossals,
Coalossals.
the
I
second one.
I've been trying to avoid saying the city because yeah, I just I'm
I'm
just
gonna
gonna
give
go
it a try. It's Cyllage City Colossals.
Cyllage. All right,
But
chat.
even myself, like I don't remember what region that's from. Although I've heard that it's the Rock Gym, so that's why they call it that for their team name.
Wait, I think isn't it Gen A Soren Show? Because didn't we have like the climbing guy? Because I thought it was based on the
Uh
climbing guy.
no,
It's
no, it
a
wasn't Sword and Shield, yeah.
oh, maybe it's from maybe from
Some
Aloha,
yeah,
Alola.
either
Sh-
no, no, I don't think Alola has rock. Like Alola's rock is the lady, right? The lady that's the so this is
Oh,
probably X and Y where you
oh,
can climb left and right. Yeah.
it
But
might be. Oops.
let's go into this team that Setsuku and NJ11 and Joe X9 kind of built because you can see some um elements from each player like sorry each manager uh come down to the how these players are all drafted.
Absolutely. So, for example, we have the Chinese players. We have
Mm.
XLVD, Tsuyu VGC, and Neptune. And
Suyu is
then,
from Korea. Suyu is from
oh,
Korea.
let
So
me,
it's a
sorry, APAC.
Daini, right?
Yeah. Yeah, APAC.
XLBD, Neptune, and
And
Daini.
yep, Daini. And then Joe, I mean, there's obviously Sierra.
That's a
uh,
fun pick.
I think and I am part of the Waka Waka team, so Zanzibar
Uh,
is actually with us over there too,
yes,
and
Jeremy. Yeah.
and I know NJ actually has worked with Rahom. I think that's how you say.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Rang
then
home.
Jesse is he was supposed to be in Team Canada, but unfortunately
Mm-hmm.
he's been very busy. But he's part of the Canadian crew, so you can see it from that. So yeah, I mean, and then there also I do know I don't know if they ever been in a draft together, but I do know that all these three players do talk to most of them for in general. So yeah, a little bit elements of each of them kind of in. I mean, I think this is as weird as it sounds, I think it's mostly top heavy with a couple unknown bottoms. For example, Joe, you can always trust that he's gonna be winning. Very well known player. I don't even have to introduce him. Accomplishments are all over the place. CK49, also known as Addy, NPA 10 champion, NPA 11 champion. Uh, was very clutch for the puppies a few times during the regular season. He was like the match point if I remember
Yes, I
correctly.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Zelda, also Sam Pandeli is like regional champion. They two world champ. Like also a funny fact, he was using Colossal, so very fitting that he's in the Colossal team. And then Neptune, and I know him personally from the APAC League, from the Foosters. Been doing
Mm.
very well. And Jesse also was a little short of top cut in Vancouver, and he used actually a very fun Dialga team. I can't believe he made Dialga work. I can't make it work. So big props on Jesse. Shaman. I mean, it was SG's champion.
Mm.
No, everyone knows who Shaman is, but um, XLBD was, I believe, in Smogon and or just in APAC. I don't. I'm not sure about the Smogon, but for sure he's in XLBD. So a lot of players that do have draft experience. I think the most unknown one are probably like Dean Diney. Uh,
Mm.
um, Boy, I think it was in PGL. I also don't know much about Suyu.
Void was a PGL champion with the Showdown Mafia.
Oh,
It's only
okay,
in the
okay, okay.
most recent one,
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you.
season 3. And then lastly, we haven't talked about Rap. Rap is a player from the Philippines. He's been pretty active in draft leagues recently, and
Oh,
his sort of best achievement in draft leagues would be the World Cup. He's easily the MVP for Team Philippines with a record of 5-1, and he also got top 4 at Philippines Nets. That gives him a day one Worlds invite, but he wasn't able to go because of visa issues. So he's been playing online a lot, and I think that can help as like contribution as a team member in terms of team building for new formats. Having a core of um, Southeast Asian players to me is pretty interesting. I'm gonna rank like the Coalossals pretty high because I've personally seen how these players work, and how they are very confident with winning games. I'm talking about Rap, Void, and Shaman. Shaman is a close friend of mine. And then I think like having Jesse and NJ11 is really cool. They have contributed a lot to Team Canada. I'm
Yes.
I'm curious about their team synergy there in Team Canada. They were just able to claim wins all the way through with a very smooth run, and now they are in the top eight. That's really crazy. And the for rank home, I just know that he is just always very confident when going into his game and knows what to do. And from my end, like I don't really know much of the Chinese players, so I won't talk on them much. But I know Zanzibar. I've seen Zanzibar and Joey X9 and Zelda around, uh, like just doing well in the 2012 season. So that's something to always have a backbone to rely on to have good experience with a sword and shield format.
Yes, yes. I agree. And I think yeah, I do think that Denny will probably be the player we must look at. I have heard a little bit about from the Chinese players that he
Very
has,
strong
yeah, very strong in.
S9 Nomax. Yeah.
Yup, he's been winning a lot of the Chinese tours,
Okay.
so that's probably the player that, along with another Chinese player that were Satsuka and Helios actually were fighting pretty strong for it. So
I see.
yeah, I really like the mix of NA and Southeast. I think Southeast Asian players, except unless like you're from Australia, I think like the Philippines player, like rap, right?
Mm,
They're kind of slept on or like unknown because sometimes people either like time zones are really bad for the APAC players, and I agree. Like trying to make APAC players work sometimes. For example, as a PST player, it works really nice because you wake up,
mm,
I'm still like chilling, but I do know that some of the issues with getting like a lot of APAC players is the time zone difference makes it really hard sometimes to even get to chat with them and stuff sometimes. So I'm really happy to see this mix. I think Setsuko being the
mm.
main manager brought the knowledge of the APAC scene for NJ and Joe, because I don't think Joe or NJ know that much of like the APAC players.
I see. Yeah. Finally, I think NJ as a leader, is someone who is very easy to talk to and will always ask for feedback and ask how are you doing. And then Setsuko also just always being around on Discord. So hopefully this team environment will help them win the weeks to come. Just looking out for this team. To me, I have them ranked pretty high.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next team. So we have the Hau'oli-Heat. Next,
Yeah. Moving
managed
to the
by
left.
yeah, all right, left. So Brede and Juan Garcia are the managers. Neither of them are playing, and much like the Strikers, they were one of the teams that initially had 120K, and I think they budget. I'm gonna say before like talking about team in general, they committed like robbery. Some of these
Yes.
3K players that they got, it was, I was like, what? So I did get some inside information, guys. So Francis actually had a there was a no bid deal for Francis from all the teams. That's why he went for 3K. Other things like some of the managers mentioned how I believe either Jamie or Kirako, they kind of slept on them, like it slipped through them. And then so, I mean, you win or lose, and that's, you can't let it. And also, see, I'm even surprised, like, Hobbit only went for 14K.
Mhm.
I think that was just mind blowing. It just,
Yeah,
how
so
can
so
you
that
sleep
makes
on that?
sense. Like this team would be the team with the most steals in this league, right? And then it's up to them to convert this to results. So Jamie and Kiriakou, like Izzy talked about, these two are the team managers for Team UK. Their season is too close because all their games went 3-5. They lost 3-5. If anything were to go wrong, they would have gotten a tie and got more points and even qualified the top 16, but it didn't work out. Then we also have a lot of other, uh, like there's Norway team players here with Nostalgia is Great Sturdy Graveler and Brede, right? If I'm not wrong. Then
Yes.
and then Hobbit himself, the sort of the odd one out coming out from Australia, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Baker is there as well, from Team Germany. So
Yeah.
overall, just a lot of players that we've seen around in the World Cup, I guess, and maybe sometimes in the online scene. But to me, they just don't feel that threatening. So I might rank them a little bit lower.
I it's I understand that feeling because I agree. It's they're all, I think they have probably the most World Cup players because I like certain line, Keane, Kyriako. I know all three of them are in the UK. Francis
Oh
was
yeah,
in
he is.
Italy. Sturdy and Brede and was it
And
Monroy? You said
nostalgia,
Nostalgia, right?
nostalgia.
Norway, right? And then and I'm pretty sure Kaur was in Team
Caro
Spain.
was in Team Spain year one, 2021, but
Okay,
not this
done.
year.
No, you see, okay. And then Hobbit obviously is in Team Australia. I do want to make the joke though that is this is EU plus Hobbit because I
Yeah,
am 90% sure everyone in this list is in EU except for Hobbit. But
yeah. Oh my God, you're right.
I mean, all these players, yeah, like you mentioned, they have online achievements. They also have IRL achievements. You shouldn't be sleeping on any of them. But I get what you mean because they have this synergy. I can tell you that Brede, Kyriako, Keen, and Hobbit were all in the same team together in NPA Stars.
Um,
Brede told me how like he got super close to all of them and they bonded and they even talked like after NPA. So the like connections very fun. And then in general, like I mean, Brede with the Norwegians already has a connection there, and the rest, I mean, the Spanish part you have Juan Garcia, so a synergy already there. And I think synergy is very important in a team. Like, would they get the wings? I mean, it just
yeah.
depends. I agree. I know a lot of these players are really they're good, but I don't see that like, oh, this player's a carry, right? Like Kaoru either went even or
Mm,
tie on his match on MPA, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Um
But yeah, Caro was MPA 10 champions with the puppies. But
oh yeah,
yeah, that
yeah, yeah,
was
you're
when
right.
he was just beginning. I think he did pretty well there. But yeah, quite a lot of the draft leagues, the other draft leagues, maybe his record was kind of even, right? Like what you were trying to say.
Yep.
And then for myself, I think like okay, Norway, they broke through or they got into the qualifiers, but it was just barely. And then they just couldn't get out of the team, get out of the group together with USA and Brazil, right? So
Mm-hmm.
on their end, like to us, it just doesn't feel that threatening. There are some players that we haven't touched on. These are like Rover Sombra and Canary 255 and Monroy, and also Wevo, W3E, AVO. They are all from Spain. So there's some good synergy there. They are generally very hardworking players with okay results. I've seen them win games very confidently. So quite like curious to see how this Spain core can work. And then finally we have Polar Bear or Giovanni from I think just USA time zone, but he's always around. He's really always around to help out. So good team presence there, and that's just a 15K pick that you cannot sleep on. I think he's really good as a player. So overall, yeah, I'm like excited to see how this team help can win games in our draft league, how they match up to the rest of the other teams.
Yeah, one fun fact though, Paul Albert did just win uh the the Nino Pokebros tour.
Oh yeah, it was best of
Like
three,
right, yeah,
and
right before the draft happened, he won it
okay,
all. So,
that's why he
obviously,
went so high.
yeah. I mean, he's been well known, but yeah, absolutely. So this is a team where I think synergy is there, and we're just gonna see if they can get the W's.
Mm.
Zoo, zoo, zoo. We have the 3 meters next, actually. Sorry, I just wanted to make a joke because Sven is one of my friends and he likes to tease me, so I'm teasing his team back. But yeah, this is the next team we're talking about. And I mean, this is Evan's first choice. We kind of talked about it. Sabola and Benzino both have manager experience. Ben doesn't as much. I forgot if he was helping in AML, but he
Mm.
was actually in the same team as Sableye. And in general, I agree with Evans that said that this team has a lot of like depth, and the fact that I think that the biggest struggle in my opinion is probably like all the different time zones with all the
Yeah,
different countries they have.
most
But
international.
yes, but as someone that did have like three main time zones, you do have Banksino to cover for the APEC, and then NA
Oh,
and EU are usually pretty good just covering each other, like especially their East Coast and stuff. And you have enough like of that, like Ecuador and what was it Javier
Mr.
and
Penguin. Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Penguin,
Penguin.
yeah. So they're Latam, which is close enough to NA time zones, and even if they're not, like they have all three each other to help out, like Pengi and Sohive and Sableye, same time zone. With Neo too, right? And then you have a couple of the EUs, WJ Backs.
Mm.
I think the Netty might also be one.
Yes, from Italy. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And overall, like yes, I agree with the dev. I think the biggest weakness is if they struggle a little to schedule stuff around because the time zones are all over. And I think I'm the most excited to see Equaeru and Mr. Penguin perform. Most of the
Mm.
time, as an Ecuadorian myself, you don't see a lot of the Ecuadorians getting drafted in these team tour leagues. This is, I believe, one of the first times actually
They are
getting
here to
getting
support
draft.
you, Easy. They're here to support you.
um I am a little like oh, so I hope they do it because one of the fun fact, Equa dude actually went undefeated. And if you guys didn't know, Ecuador had one of the probably top three toughest runs in BR World Cup. They had like two group of deaths kind of, so the fact they made it and he went undefeated on that is like super top in my book. And then Sohaib is my best friend, you guys. I mean I'm gonna always be biased. And then Pengi, regional champion down. And I do think Nomax is better for him. Nomax is a
Mm.
format that I think Pengi gets to shine even more of because of his play style. And I don't know much about the rest of the Italians.
I can help. Yeah, I can help with
So
that.
I will let it to Evan because I talked enough.
Yeah, to me, just I think the depth. I think this is a team that reminds me of myself as my first experience as a manager for draft league. We back in EGL 3 that died. We drafted a team with very players from all over the place and kind of put them in pairs. Easy as mentioned before, like having like a pair like in terms of synergy with very good team building friends can help in a team environment. And if this team can kind of get together as strangers and then build a very nice team environment and make friends with each other, I think this team can really go very far because of how flexible they can get and how creative they can get going into each week. I think this team would be pretty hard to scout from some players. And then individually, like players like War Hyang, always on showdown, right? And then like Javier is also very strong. Jay Z is also someone who just grinds a lot, like from what I've known. Mechanics and Neil from Canada, they like to be on the ladder a lot. So to me, they get a lot of experience coming out from there. Then we haven't mentioned like Ice Salad. Oh, uh, Jaden from Australia. These players like sometimes play in online tours. Although they are the small ones, but they do have good experience with best of 3. And then finally, I didn't mention my stars. My stars easily the MVP of Team Thailand, and they are still in the top 8 now. So they just beat like Japan like easily 4-0. I don't know how, but the way that they brought the team and the way it seems like a counter team because Japan is just very scoutable and very predictable with they're always bringing something like Zashan Ogre and it worked out. So curious to see if they can like extend their experience from last year because last year Thailand got top 4 and then sorry top 8 so this year if they can go to top 4 and beyond it'll be very cool to see and that shows the power coming out from My Stars and also Bank Zeno. Uh, Notably, Bank Zeno was also in the Twilight Wings that I'm familiar with. And that team did well, right? I think top
Yeah, third.
four
Yeah.
in yeah, third place in VCL.
Yep.
And they're just underdogs because although you think like it's Nontaro on the ladder, right, like My Stars, but they do have so many other players that still perform very well, and that's really surprising. So Bank Zeno does have a lot of connections. I think that I have confidence in that for this team to do well. If they are just really able to come together and build a nice team environment, I think this will be a very fun league for them.
Yeah, no, I full praises. I mean, it is Evan's number one choice. I'm not sure where I want to put them. We'll see about it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, I'm not fully sold yet. All right. All right. Next team, we have the Sunsteel Strikers, managed by Bat, Chase, and Spect. Bat is a very well known manager around draft leagues. I believe she has drafted at least like five different teams. And fun fact, except for one, and she's still also drafting Waka Waka, but most of her teams that she has managed actually all made playoff. And then the first time she actually co-managed, uh, in PGL season two, I believe, she actually ended up winning. Like she's a champion on that league. Like the High Dragons got first
Hi
place.
Dragons,
Yeah,
yes.
so someone that I think you guys, while she might not have those IRL results, her
Hmm.
teams, so she must have a secret formula because her teams always do good. So and Chase was an MPA manager too for the Gazers, and actually ended up top 64 in NIC, which, okay, another fun fact about this. Chase did not put any Dynamax candies on his NIC team for his half of team. Like half his team did not have Dynamax candies. Imagine going 6-3. And part of the reason he was telling me is like, oh, this is why my Calyrex ice ended up getting knocked out by this Charizard. So I was like, Chase, please don't forget about putting candies next time, please, please. You got
From
them too. Anyway, from the team, right? It's actually very interesting because I didn't expect this from them. They have their small NA core. Rola Costa is known to be Chase's best friends. The top four in Indianapolis regional, Borgie, Hannah, Angela Hunter, all like people,
mm,
Jonas too, and Ro, all people that have done draft either in USPA, NPA, or PGL.
mhm,
And then you have the single Chinese well, no, actually never mind. They have the dual Chinese players Mufen and Klefki. Klefki
mhm,
finally is in the Winter League. Mufen actually in the boosters in APAC where they got second seat, so we're in the playoffs right now. And then you have the Italian core. You have Ray, Gizzo, Dogpon, Gyumpy, Arctor, and then the single French person, Xiao. um,
like from my perspective, like Kira did say something like they didn't really get the draft plan that they were really they were really going for. So I think uh it might be something that just totally went out of the way during draft, which is why it looks a little bit surprising and a bit mixed up, but still they were able to get some players together, and quite a few friends. And I think Bet, like you said earlier, like really does have a lot of experience in terms of being a manager, but at the same time being a scouter. I think her reach goes very far. Yeah, so I really like it. Like how the way she does things from what I've seen. From my perspective, sort of like sometimes as a opposing opponent team. Yeah, she does seem very scary with the scouting and always gets it right. And then for Chase is a very good like team builder who's always active in helping the team, uh, helping build teams and also helping his teammates out with ideas. So that could be nice if this team is able to once again build a very good team environment with all of these players from different countries, particularly from Italy and France and also from China. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out. The time zones seem to be very easy for this team. uh for myself personally, I don't know a lot of these players as well, in the scene, so I'm not that confident if they can secure wins, so it will be down to the managers.
It's okay, Sunsteel Striker. I'm gonna fangirl for you guys. So Ray actually very. I mean, Ray's while his NPA season didn't show it because it took him a little bit to get used to Max. Ray's known for being very very good no Max. He did amazing. I believe he got Rookie of the Year or MVP, one of the two,
Oh,
in this Italian league by Pardini. If
okay.
I'm getting that right, I always confuse Pardini with
Correct,
another
correct.
Italian. But
That's correct.
yeah, so a couple people say that I shouldn't overrate Ray, but I never. I believe in you, Ray. Okay, Ray
They
has
also do
shown.
that new Ultra Series thing with all the
Yep.
whole Italian community. They are like these players. I think they are very active there, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I think Giso as well. Yeah,
Yep.
I Giso I've been following for quite a while because he's close friends with like my friend Kim Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
think they
Kim
have it
nice.
in them. They have it in them to tackle both Series 9 that has no Dynamax and even Series 13 at the same time, because the new Ultra Series has a lot of restricteds. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think they can have that going for them. That could be really cool in terms of team building.
absolutely, and I think Arthur also has been teammate with either. They know each other. Same with Giampi. So Dog Pond and them like it is such a strong Italian like little Italy. They have literally a very strong little Italy,
Yeah,
and
people have been joking about it. Yeah,
so and you know I think yes they didn't. I think they got this the most Italians
mm,
out of the entire draft, and that's good because synergy is very important. And I do know that this group has worked together either in drafts or in the Italian community, and we all know the Italians have their own tours all the time. That there's the
true.
API, and I know they've been teammates, enemies, and especially Ray. As I Ray did NPA, then did PGL, like don't. I'm might be wrong, but I think Ray has done a lot to deserve the hype, and I think because there's no elo, especially like I think it was a very good investment from the strikers. Now a little bit
Okay.
about their NA core, right? The NA core is I do think it's a little bit weaker in terms of result based. Angelo Hunter was in NPA, was also probably one of the MVPs for Blizzards. They they beat Asuya Asuya on the most deciding match. So it was very important for them and knocked the Cruisers off playoffs chances.
Uh,
I mean I personally had Angelo in EGL season 2. He was my undefeated player because Joe actually ended up losing. So Angelo has a lot of draft experience, very underrated. Same with Roller Costa, and the Roller Costa shines the most with Chase. Like
yes.
Chase will give a team to Roller Costa, and Roller Costa will just pilot it with beauty. And because Roller Costa doesn't have a lot of online presence, because he's been mostly busy, like
That's
he's
true.
not very scuttleable, and he's a really good player. I only beat Roller Costa one time out of the multiple times we had played, and partially apparently was because he was being distracted playing a showdown match in on the side. So he's a very scared player, and I think we should be very mindful. And I mean Borgie has some management experience. He's managed in Smogon a few times. He
Mhm.
always is in the ladder. They're always doing those seasonals. And he has played Nomax. Like I think he's probably the oldest Coco BGC experienced
Mhm.
player, potentially. And,
Yeah, I
and
think yeah, I think Poggy will help a lot with scouting from the online ladder, since there's already the Spike Murph ladder going on, and there's also a lot of room tours, and he's always around to be able to scout the showdown outs.
yeah, you
Mm.
always want that person that is just sitting on freaking like the ladders. Like we scouted someone doing a room turn this one time. So yeah, I think the NA is a little bit more like what you consider underrated, but
Mm.
I think because of having Bad and Chase who make underrated players shine, I think they're gonna be able to push through. They
Mm.
might take they might take a little bit to warm up maybe potentially, But there's so much synergy, and I mean Mufen and Klefki, I can personally tell you
Mm.
that you just leave them alone and
They
they
will
will
just
just do it.
deliver and
Yeah,
yeah, and then win
yeah,
each week with like something special that they bring, right?
yep.
Final shout outs would be Spectre Titan, like someone that I know always is always around, like always able to help a team out and create a good environment. And then finally Shao also has manager experience with Team France. Team France just beat Italy with a very close 4-3. They are moving on, and they're just getting there. Like you can tell that it's like a slow start, and then it grows to become better. So this could be the journey for this team in our league, and they could easily be the underdogs that everybody just overlooked, and then they start stealing wins, and then they start going to playoffs and dominating playoffs. You'll never know. So excited to see how this plays out.
Absolutely. And we have Copers as our next team. Very funny thing about this. Mirai was a manager that ended up wanting to play, and because of the rules, I had to kick him off of manager and put him in the players pool because Torviv was already there 20K. And I mean, I'm kind of glad the managers all were like not too mean. I did Mirai didn't get early numb. He actually
Mm,
came in a little late, and then I think 14.5 for him is actually pretty nice. So one thing I do want to mention is that the Copers actually have a lot of players that were part of the Blizzards. So
mm,
Pasteur, Sidhar, and Baroon are all Blizzard players. Ben Bill actually used to is in the Discord. Chris is also Blizzards. Then Jimotri is a helper there. So really, like their non-Spanish core has like connections to each other. I mean, Teka and Mirai are best friends. I mean, Tori is best friend with Mirai too. And then Oriol, right? Like the Spanish core of their team, they're really, really close to each other. Synergy is right just there. Like there's no questions. They have probably the most memes in there. I can already tell. Probably
yeah,
memeing
like
around each
I think
other.
Jay Audrey and Torvi, they were just able to get all the friends together and be able to get them in pretty decent prices, right? So that they were able to build all the way to 14 players. Uh, Something I wanted to say was Mirai, like less than 20K, that would be a steal since he can always double up as a manager with very good experience together with Torviv and Jay Modri.
Yes, and I want to point out like Mirai was the MVP for us in the Winter League. I know his record in other in NPA doesn't show it, and then PGL doesn't show it either. But in general, like if you get Mirai the right group of people and
Mhm.
just the time because he had some IRL stuff happening, he's just amazing. Like he was our flexing Winter League. I was like putting him in all different formats and he delivered when we needed him. So very flex player that I'm very confident that cool 14.5 he will deliver. And then with Torvid Oriol, like with this core of Spaniards that he always just builds together already, that
Mm,
this just will take it to another level. And then you have the Blizzard core, as I mentioned, Pasteur, Sidhar, Baroon, and Chris. They all have worked together too. And then actually, Jimodri and Chris are best friends. Despite the country different times and difference, they
mm,
were known as like being super tight together and building together all the time. So, I mean, yeah, in general, like kind of like the Heat. But unlike the
mhm.
Heat, though, a lot of these players do have results, like a lot stronger results, either IRL, like for example, Sidhar, also known
Yeah.
as Ink. He probably is had the best 2022 newcomer generator results. He was in the top. He missed top cut because of
Mm,
resistant, and he made that too in NIC. So I think this is gonna be pretty cool to see how he continues into the no max format.
yeah.
I know he actually did pretty well in Series 10. So and GX is a very old player.
Mhm.
One of the biggest weakness for GX is the fact that he actually doesn't own a Switch, so he can never really play any IRL like any tours that
I
require
see.
card. but he's in Smoke and all over, very well known for 15, 16, like the old format, like very famous. The fact that he only went for 5K, I mean, I know there were some deals, but I think because I feel like Helios will have gone crazy for GX2. And
Oh,
Teka for how annoying you are. He's an amazing scouter. Like he always
that's true. Yeah.
he actually knows a lot more than I like. He puts me to shame sometimes.
He's the
With
guy
his
on the
scouting.
team. Yeah, he's the guy on the team with the most connections because he's always talking to people. So
Yeah,
that could
and
help.
yeah, that
Yeah, I
definitely
think
would go.
together with Ben build, yeah, they can be pretty good scouters.
Yeah, and so yeah, so I don't think they're like super crazy as a team, but I definitely wouldn't sleep on them. I think they kind of like strikers are in the middle because they have the synergy, they have good results, and synergies and good results equal usually a pretty decent draft.
Okay. Yeah. Finally, some shout outs to players like Oreo Plaza, very consistent in series 12 so far as sort of a new player, right? Gen 8. And then we also have Iker and also Kono Z. And I've seen them around I think online tours, and not sure if they're in a lot of draft leagues, but like I see Iker. Iker is always winning things when he's inside.
Konos actually is. He was in PGL and NPA respectively, but he did take a little
Oh.
bit of a break. So I don't know how far he did, but I do know that a lot of the, I mean, Tech always praised him, and a couple of their players also praised Konos. It just was very unfortunate that IRL stopped him from like really shining. Because yeah, he was in Trailer's team the past weeks, I
Oh, I
believe. Yeah.
see.
So
So overall, this is the easily the youngest team in the whole league,
yes.
full of boys, getting to do what they want to do. They might meme like throughout the league, so do watch out for them. And then guys, please behave, and please make our experience as commissioners a little bit easier. In your weeks, every time you fight another team. So yeah, all the
Please.
best. Yeah, they do seem very strong. Wait, Jay Modry was in like the magnitudes, right? And then they got first
Yes.
place in EGL.
Yeah.
Together
Yes.
with Saberline. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they are strong because their scouting game is pretty good. So
Yep.
I'll give that to them, yeah.
All right. So Torkoals is next, and as I mentioned at the start of the video, they are my number one team
Mhm.
in rankings. And the reason why is because they have an amazing synergy. Plus, they actually have the most results in 2022. Carbonics top 8, lost to Paulo Chua. Terran, day 2. They in NIC, day 2 in the Worlds.
Mhm.
OE, EOIC finalist. And you know when you start, and then Cats, Chosen Future.
Yep.
They actually, I believe.
Day two at Worlds as well, yeah. I
Okay,
think with
thank you.
OE.
So they two plus they're also in the World Cup team, and they actually are top
Australia.
8 right now. So like I can't, when you have such a strong results right there. I yes, they're not the spike muff, but all of these players have played pre Gen A as far as I know. It's not like they were Gen 8ers. So the fact that they already have passed, and they also were either helpers or together in the Stowlands Mogon team season 1, they have the synergy otherwise.
Champions, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, another that I really like is the fact that while not while it's true that in a league like this that you have such a small roster, you're probably gonna feel the
Mhm.
same people.
Yeah.
It's also kind of lessens the burden on the 3Ks or on the like lower rep, because when you look at this team, you're just like, okay, Carbonics, Aurora Quasa, OE, Chosen Future, always the 4 players that are gonna get selected, always gonna be like the, hey, you guys gonna win. And then you have Gay, Dark George, who I think are also are gonna be potentially like the
Mm.
carries or dark horses in this team that people might not recognize, but they have played leagues before, and they're also well known. And then you have the 2K. So in a part, to me, one, you already have the synergy. Two, you already have fast results. The biggest thing is I don't think they're gonna get burnout. Mainly because they're all friends, And when you're playing with
Mm,
friends too, it's so important that you will feel motivated unless like some internal stuff happens, but I doubt it. Like they actually have been like in leagues together so many times. I think I'm pretty confident that they shouldn't suffer burnout. And then the 3Ks are gonna be like probably potentially maybe motivated or have them potentially like, oh, Taryn is doing so well. I wanna get good too. I know from talking to past Stolen players, they told me how Taryn was the player they all wanted to try to strive in to be because he was undefeated and every time he won everyone was hype and stuff. So really like potentially we can see that happen, and the mentality of a short time league like this is so important. So the fact that you have all these strong players, there's barely anything scoutable until as you go closer to later weeks. Torkoals
mm.
just have to win like 3 to 4 weeks, and then they could tie the rest and stuff and be fine. Like just let their carries relax for the last 2 weeks potentially.
And then
So
make it into playoffs.
yep.
Yeah,
So
with
that's
not
why I
much, with not much pressure. I see.
yep. And
Yeah,
that's why I think they're like the number one choice on paper
I
because of those
see.
things.
Izzy also explained to me before something like how this team works, like the Blizzards from MPA back in season 10 and a little bit in season 11, where you have this like top heavy core that
Cruisers.
you're very the cruisers. Ah, the cruisers instead of the blizzards. My bad. They are all ice type things. So um, always having like a top heavy core of very close friends, uh, motivating each other to get wins. Yeah, that could happen in this draft. Then you can tell that this is like half um UK kind of team plus Spain. And then from like Vertigo's leadership, he has players like Doug George, Reiko, Pipa Gore, and Batman. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the team, like how they like whether they can really get those wins week by week. And for me personally, I'm just a bit scared like that they might burn out if something goes wrong like the first few weeks where there are a lot of upsets. Then it might be scary to work with 11 players. The Since they really wanted friends, and they really wanted the players to go to their team, they they then hurt themselves for getting less players from the way the draft turned out. But I can tell that this is one of the teams that really managed to get who they wanted, and I think that can be a good motivating factor to go into the competition with a lot of confidence, and you have like friendship by your side. So yeah, looking forward to see how the Tacos do well.
Also, one more thing. They have a player called Badman, okay? That's a win already. Just saying. And our last team in all this summary, the Tokyo Thunders. They're managed by Kotomi, also known as Apron BGC, Helios, and CML.
To me, this is the team with the most unknown players from the way they drafted. They saved 40K all the way to the last few rounds of draft, and then were able to pick up like a total of 3Ks. I need your help, Easy. I don't know a lot of these
Oh,
people.
I will let you talk with the ones you know, and then I will talk the ones you don't know.
For me, CML is very consistent, and I have seen him around, and then Garahaku as well. And Syntax also, I believe Syntax is playing for
Italian.
Italy, Team Italy, right? Or not
At least it's
sure,
from
but
Italy.
I've always seen him around. Yeah, Enrico, and then I only know Toki-san, Yoke, Skyfly High, and Eldritch, and that's all. Like I don't know a lot of the other Chinese names, and I personally don't know Masa. I haven't seen them play in leagues before, so
That's
um
rude. I'm going to scold you.
yeah, so Helios like drafted a lot of players that like are not that well known, since you can see that it doesn't, the bid doesn't go that high. Only sometimes Colossals realize, oh, they need to up the price and they need to keep the Thunders in check, right? That was how the draft turned out. And yeah, I think the rest of the teams going up against Thunders will have to do a lot of homework. Yeah, Easy, help me out with the rest.
All right, all right. So let's start with their probably most expensive player.
Oh,
which is Lily. Also, their Discord name is Moma. So if you guys don't haven't heard of them, they actually are a very strong Nomax player, Chinese. Okay, they won a lot of Chinese tours too. So that's why they went so high. I believe Setsuko and Helios were trying to make deals between the Chinese players because they were the two, probably the two that knew the most out of it. Setsuko being, the World Cup manager for Team China and involved in the Chinese community. And then Helios has slowly like been trying to learn about the Chinese community between being friends with Setsuko and me. So yeah, I did. A lot of people actually thought this was Lily from Team Ireland or Smogon Lily,
mm,
but no, this is actually Moma. And oh, I mean, I think regardless, at that point that Moma got called, not a lot of people knew, and it was just like the Colossus trying to fight for it. So that's why they ended
yeah.
up being 24 pi fight. So while
I'm
they
pretty
don't
sure
have,
that Moma is Setsuko's good friend, like very
yeah.
very close friend of mine.
So while I mean, they also pay it. They didn't go for cheap, which made me very happy.
Mm.
Cyllage actually it was part of the Soras, um,
Oh,
in Smogon, and they
Zoras.
actually won the season 2 of the Smogon PL.
Yeah, very strong
Daniel,
performance.
yeah, Danielle is actually an ex cruiser, one of my mid season picks that I was recommended by my Italian members. He also was in the API team with Asuya, so he actually won all the matches. Like he went undefeated on the 3 weeks we had left. So I'm very excited because Danielle impressed me almost immediately.
I know that Daniel got top four in my VGC pace random team tour for the first one, so he's very flexible with using teams that I know.
Yeah, so very, very don't say that. You May, also known as YMM,
Mm,
was in Smogon too, and also is in the APAC League. Has been performing okay. I don't know if he's gonna. I feel like I'm still hesitant, but I mean,
okay.
you have half of like half of a Chinese core, so you want to grab the Chinese, the rest of the Chinese people that Setsuko didn't get to get. Like they literally split each other between the Chinese players, for the most part. Then Masa is also an ex cruiser. Masa
Oh,
actually, well, had an unfortunate NPA run. Very hard worker. I wish I had been able to play him one more time. He actually plays a lot of the Chinese tours. Masa actually, I forget it was Juju. No, Day Day. So Masa and Juju and Day Day actually have a rivalry of sort in the Chinese community because they get
okay.
games back and forth. But Masa's a Japanese player, so you have got Haku and Masa as your Japanese core, which is funny because I had a Kakunaka to be like Masa's mentor, and then we had Snow too. So yeah, Masa is your Spanish, and then Scarlet, another Chinese player. They were actually also in Smogon. So if you guys do your homework, a couple of these Chinese players are in this. Were playing in the Smogon League, so you could see some replays there. And same deal with Son Didi, and Son Didi actually is also from Team China from the VR World Cup.
I see.
And so a lot, except for Lily, you guys should be able to find a lot of information from the rest of the Chinese players if you know where to look at.
I see. Finally, I think Helios is always on in showdown in the VGC chat room, so he should be a very good source of scouting. He's very resourceful and is always able to figure out showdown odds very quickly. So that's a very good com uh compliment to this Chinese core that aren't very like aren't too familiar in this like Western scene or in like Western time zones where a lot of the other players in this league always play in.
Absolutely. And with
Oh,
oh,
I also want to mention like Skyfly High, a close friend of mine, like in Singapore, and someone who we always rely on. He always does his own thing because he kind of grinds a lot with one single team that he wants to use, but he always delivers and always helps us win. Yeah, so we'll just leave him to it. But uh, he's a very good addition to the team, someone who always come like join you for help and give team ideas. So that's probably a very valuable member. And then I also didn't really mention Eldridge. So Eldridge will probably be like partners with Helios, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was very happy. I mean, Aldrich went for 14K, but one thing I do want to know is that that was the all the money Thunders had, and they only had one spot left. So very sweet of Helios actually saving 14K for Aldrich. So very very excited to see, and and I do want to mention Aldrich is also a well known scouter, so and a huge team chat presence. So I think that this team looking pretty well balanced, but I think the most scary thing is probably, well, can this deliver? And I mean, history has said that all the Chinese players always deliver. I just want to
So
say that.
there's the
So
element of surprise as well, and this is probably the team that is the most difficult to scout, and players really need to dig very deep to do their homework. When Team Singapore played against Team China last year in the World Cup, we we were able to scout them pretty well because we know Chinese as part of our education, and they do like stream some of their matches in their own YouTube channel. So those are places where you can find. However, the games are in Chinese and it's a total different language from everyone else, so it's difficult to also figure out the mons and the moves. So really need to do a lot of homework against them is what I feel.
absolutely. And with that, that's the summary of all 8 teams. Hope you guys been enjoying it. And
I
now,
have my rank.
we're
Are
gonna
you
do.
ready?
Yeah. Now it's the time where a lot of you guys probably
My
waited.
laptop.
I have my little notepad that almost like popped off, but how about you? You go first, Evan. You go
Me,
first.
shoot, it's so stressful. Okay, okay, guys. Remember, once again, this is my own opinion. I'm a bit of a noob in draft leagues. I only know players based on official results because I work with VR. But draft results, I'm still a noob and I'm still like doing my homework. So for me, right, so my first, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with Dream Eaters, and I'm gonna believe with in Bang Zeno, Sableye, and also Sven. I don't know Sven much, so hopefully this don't fail me, guys. And then second place, I'm going to go with Coalossals, just because of the draft, like the roster. Like I believe in Adi and a few of the other like interesting Chinese players. Then okay, so Colossals will be kind of a hot take on my end, I feel. Yeah, I think both one and two hot take. Then number three, I'm going with Araquanids, because I'm a fan of cross shots, and then I want to see how Condor manages to work this out together with KJ Chicken and also Ace Nomad. Yeah, and then next will be Torkoals. So this is Easy's first place team in ranking, and to me, I respect Owi Aura Rayquaza a lot, and then I know that Vertigo and Clippers can always deliver together with Kelvonics. Then um, number five, Tokyo Thunders. Uh, yeah, trust in their um, like Chinese core and always being able to scout on showdown. And then I think that Helios and Apron are very strong as team managers. Finally, number six will be Copers. Copers, the group of friends and the youngest team. So let's see how Jay Modri and Torviv will be able to lead together with Mirai to be able to get results. And then number seven will be Sunsteel Strikers, the team that doesn't have the most like online, like the most results as players, but I still think they are really strong. And then Bet, Chase, and Spec, they're just very close together, and that can help get a good team environment going. And then finally, the Heat. The Heat, like to me, seems a little bit messy. And then Brede and Juan Garcia. From my experience back in EGL as their opponents, they seem like not that threatening. But then again, it's just because they don't seem that threatening, and unfortunately, someone has to be last. But I do have a lot of faith in these players. To me, I think Popopo, Kaoru, Hobbit will always be able to win games. Then it's down to the rest of the players to secure the wins each week. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brady, but then like someone has to be last, but still, I believe in your team. So good luck. Yeah, and then easy. Now it's your turn. What like
All
I
right.
think you have quite a bit of a mix up, right? I saw.
I think we do have a little bit of a mix up. I momentarily changed a little bit of my rankings as you were
Oh,
talking it, so that's why like I like looked away a little as you were talking about the covers. But as I mentioned, my number one choice is gonna be the Torkels.
Gonna make it through the playoffs for sure. Okay.
Yeah, I for sure like think they're gonna make it to the playoffs. Unless something weird like unlucky and stuff. Because I mean, Pokemon has crits and stuff, and I heard that RNG is kind of like crazy in Spike Mouth. But and then no max format.
True.
So my second one is Tokyo Thunders.
Oh,
I
wow.
put the I believe in the Chinese players. I believe also in Helios. I saw how much work he has put as a scouter. A
Okay.
CML is an amazing another amazing person to
Like
have in their
mentor, right? Yeah.
mentor. And like I said, you can leave Kahaku on his own for the most part, or he can also work with Masa. Outreach is a very very strong scouter for you, and then you have all these people that you know, and then you have your CML is just gonna probably be there for the Italians and a little bit for the other players, but mostly I can see him as the mentor for the Italian players, and Helios probably will be in charge mostly of the um, Chinese players. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why they're my number two. And then number three, unlike
Oh,
Mr. Evan who put Tokyo like what fifth or something.
hi.
Okay, I'm putting Evan's choice number three. I and much to the thing I agree with Evan about there's a lot of depth. If they can work the schedule correctly, if Sableye and Banksino can keep these people together and motivated, or like they kind of do some of like the puppies where they pair each other up because you can
Yes.
actually pair it. I think they can go ways. So
Yes.
I'm gonna believe because I believe in Sableye and Banksino and also Sohive.
Okay.
It's and the Kodorians. I gotta love them. So that's why they're my number three. And then number four, I have the Sunsteel Strikers. As I
Oh.
mentioned, Bat has had a lot of success in draft. Um,
Mm.
I don't know what she does. And regardless, though, her draft is probably one of the strongest tops with the
Okay.
Italian core. Like I said, her NA core is a little bit weak, but Angelo, for those that don't know, I actually tell that Angelo Hunter is an anime protagonist because every time we need him to win, no matter the team, because he did it for mine and also for Blizzards, he will win. He will have that anime protagonist. Okay, and then Roller Coaster, same thing. He has that magic when he's in the same team as Chase. That's why they're number four. Because I will
Okay.
be very, very surprised if I don't see them on playoffs. Now, this next team, okay, I just changed them. I actually had them on seven.
Wow.
But Evan changed my mind, and as I thought about it, and Coalossals
Oh,
are now my fifth choice.
Joe UX9
Okay,
and NJ.
I have I mean Satsuko and Jinjo are really close friends of mine. I did tell them I don't know about your draft, but if they make it work, they can squeeze into playoffs.
Okay.
I think they have the ability to squeeze players. This next one was hard, and
Because
yeah, this next one I actually also changed it, and
so
I
who's six?
six now is the Araquanids. And the
Oh.
reason I put Araquanids in here is because the team I had before was a younger team. And I think mentality is pretty important. I think this a lot of these players here are have been in tough situations, have been in like I need to be the carry or we're down 0-3, let's bring it back. They have reverse sweep, they have done a lot of things and there's a synergy and that's why I think the Raquinids are six to me because the managers they have a lot of like manager people too and a lot of like the mental and I think that if they can keep the mental strong they can go to places. And now six is Copers and they actually I mean
Seven,
seven,
right?
sorry,
Yeah.
seven is Copers and I had them as six as I mentioned. However, after Evan mentioned how young the team was, okay, I am a little hesitant because they either do very very well and everyone is hype or they start losing and there's potentially
Oh.
a oh my god stressing. I do know some of these players and I do know that that has play a factor a little bit on them, so that's why they are on seven. I
Okay.
believe in Jim Modry. I think he's an amazing manager. And Mirai actually like kept us motivated in Winter League. So I'm hoping they can step it out and prove me wrong. Because I really didn't want to put you guys so low, but the age thing made me think a little bit. And I am so sorry, Brady. I am so sorry. But I think I influenced Evan a little on this one because
Yeah,
I do think you got the most steals. I think the next one probably is Thunders. I did think you got really good picks for 3K. However, compared to the other teams, the a lot of the results on paper are not as strong as the other teams as we've seen. I think most of the time it's been even or negative for some of the results of these players, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, you just have to shine here and there. And I think you're gonna do that. I think your experience from EGL probably will make you a better manager. And also, I mean, you were with a couple of these ones in different team leagues. So maybe you will prove me wrong, and
yeah,
Evan
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean,
because of
being the last in rank, you always have a lot to prove as sort of the underdogs going to it. But once again, our opinions are just our own, and we are really making this video for the people, for everyone, for all the players in the league, and yeah, like it's always up to you to surpass our expectations. Jamie Keen and Kiriaku, they just uh always people look down, right, like on Team UK, but they delivered in World Cup, and that was a very nice thing to see as a team together. So yeah, uh although we both like managed to put the team at number 8, yeah, they definitely have a lot to prove, and it will be nice to see them go into playoffs, yeah, bring the heat.
Yee. Okay, one more thing before we end this video. I do find it funny how we rank the Thunders and the
Yeah,
Coalossals.
yeah. So you can see the numbers on top. The numbers on top, I just put them in Easy's ranking, and then the numbers below is mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so we both
Oh,
kind of ranked them kind of swap.
but
I think that's pretty fun.
yeah, that's funny because it's like the top half of um the rankings, and then the bottom half of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, like I said, don't hate too much on us, guys. This is only from the research we did, and obviously we couldn't research everything because I
Yeah.
started it. Evan did a better job. He started doing more deep. I was like, you know what? I already know these players. I'm just gonna talk about them, and the don't knowns. I'm just gonna like, they're just gonna surprise me. But this is from what we saw, what we know, and obviously maybe we're sleeping on some things. Like, don't take it personal, guys. But you did ask for a power ranking, and we give you like one of the most. I think this is one of the most detailed power rankings there's ever probably been. Okay, so
Yeah, as commissioners, I just want to say it's very nice to just highlight everyone that um managed to join a team. So like congratulate everyone and give everyone a little bit of a spotlight. So this video has been a little bit long, but thanks a lot for staying with us, and just hope that you manage to have a good time in this league. We'll try our best to feature as many players on stream to give some content for everyone, since this is a format that is pretty unexplored. So the games can be really exciting to cast, and we are excited to bring you guys like all the content that we can.
absolutely. All
Oh,
right,
we need
on
thank the sponsors as well.
yes, I just about you do that. So rude. Just gonna say, Evan. We gotta work on this thing. Anyway, once again, I do want to thank our sponsors, Papi Canton, that guy in the beanie, Dark Aura, and Sardichar slash Lily of the Valley Island. You guys, thank you so much for supporting this league. We really, really appreciate it, and hopefully, you guys enjoy this content. We're trying to push as much as we can. We want to people know about us. Sootopolis City League draft. We want you guys to be hype, and hopefully this helps out. And if you guys ever have any suggestions or anything, just feel free to tell us in the Discord or in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.